folks, how you doing? I think you're looking at my feet right now. I have a new feeder I want to show you today. So I figure I would just take you along for my whole morning routine, which is actually midday routine for feeding the birds. And the first thing I do is I'll fill up one watering can with water to get the warm water out of the hose. And then the second can here, I'll just give it a quick rinse. And this is the water I'm going to use for the bird baths. I keep my bird seed in these galvanized cans, and then the seed is actually in here with the screw top. But I also keep the brush I use for cleaning the bird baths in here too. So every day I'll just open the can, grab my bird bath cleaning brush. This is my bird seed mix. This is peanuts. I used to have a can of thistle seed, but the birds don't really seem to care about the thistle. And then the other cans I have over there, I just use for keeping spare bags of seed, so I don't keep any bird seed in the house where the mice can find it. So we had some rain yesterday, so I didn't put fresh water in the feeders. In the bird baths, I figured there was enough. But what I'll do is just give the bird baths a quick washout, and if I see any bird poop in there, I'll wipe that off. Nothing major, just enough to kind of clean things off, and then just tilt them and just put some fresh water in there. And there's some robins that'll actually come on a fairly regular basis, and as soon as I go in the house, they will come over and jump in the bird bath. The robins don't go to the feeders, but they certainly love the bird bath. And I did put these 2 logs here a couple of years ago just because it gives them somewhere to land. And I do see them usually, they'll usually land on the logs and then kind of walk over to the feeder, and also the chipmunks and the squirrels like that too. And I was thinking with this one, I'd love to get like some kind of a, like a container where I could just like freeze this big chunk of ice and just put the big chunk of ice in there in the middle of the summer. So it would take a while to melt. They'll go through quite a bit of water in the summers. So the running joke in the house is this little butterfly mudding station. I did this about a month ago, and it's basically just a mixture of coarse sand and a little bit of cow manure. I use dehydrated cow manure. I've seen no butterflies in it, but you're supposed to put water in it and the butterflies will land and come to drink. I also put some bananas in here once in a while. So yesterday I put 3 bananas in there, and the bananas are gone, but I've seen no butterflies. So it turns out the local possum population will take the bananas. But this is actually Asclepias incarnata milkweed. So I've got it right next to it, and I'm hoping once these come into bloom, you know, I will eventually get some butterflies. I don't know, this was like my experiment to see what happens, and I've seen 5 or 6 videos I've watched about building these things, and everybody shows a picture of building a mudding station or a puddling station, but nobody shows pictures of the butterflies in them. The thing I'm really excited about, or there's actually 2 things I'm really excited about, but we'll do the first one here. I was at a garden center yesterday, and I bought this sign that you see over there, and I ended up incorporating it into like a platform feeder for the birds. So I have a platform feeder here, a little DIY job. It's actually, you know, getting close to time to break. So I'm thinking I'm gonna move the platform feeder over here. I thought eventually, but when I was at the garden center yesterday, I saw this really cool sign that says, "This is our happy place." And I immediately thought of the birds. And so I wanted to hang it over here. I thought it'd be, you know, kind of funny, haha, but I also didn't want to leave it looking like a religious symbol in the landscape. So, you know, I slept on it, and I went for a walk this morning, and when I got back from the walk, like the idea just came to me of what to do. So luckily, you know, we had, that's a 4x4 there sitting in the landscape. I got a scrap of wood to mount the sign on, and then this is actually some cedar wood I milled for the platform there. And then I figure I would try just putting this branch, I just put a few screws in the back to give them like a perch. You know, I guess everybody's got their own style, but I just thought it was a nice little touch. And another thing, you know, I've thought of doing before, but I haven't done, is I'd love to get, I believe it's called a Boston fern. I'll be at the garden centers and I'll see these really vigorous ferns growing in pots. And I'd love to mix a few of those, like get 5 of those, and not put them directly under the feeder, but maybe behind, just to give, you know, some of the chipmunks and the smaller birds, you know, some other places to grab some cover. So I know I showed you folks this before, but I'll usually leave some peanuts out here and the blue jays will come by and get them. And then the squirrels, and there were some ravens around here. And I think the two parent ravens have moved on and the child raven is around. So the ravens haven't really been making their presence known as often. They'll still come by, but the younger one is much shyer. So when it comes, it makes sure I'm not around. But what we'll do is I'll go ahead and put the peanuts out, and we'll just leave the camera for a few minutes and see if anybody shows up. You know, because I've been working on that feeding station and I've been out here for probably over an hour, I think the birds have just given up on me feeding them today, so they may have just moved on to somewhere else to look for some food. But we'll give them a few minutes and see if anybody shows up. So we'll see if they can figure out that there's a new spot to get food. Unfortunately, it's like the worst time of the day for filming. It's midday and I'm in the shade, so this may be a little splotchy. But the other exciting thing that happened yesterday was I was filling the feeders and a chickadee was, you know, tweeting around in the trees. And I kept focusing, you know, 15 feet away because that's where they usually are. And as I was feeding, all of a sudden I noticed the chickadee was like right on one of these logs here. So it actually jumped on this feeder to get some food. And because I was literally standing like right here, I held the food, the full bucket of food right here, and the chickadee actually like looked at the feeder, looked at this, and then it saw a peanut, jumped over, grabbed a peanut, and flew away. So that was my first time ever hand feeding the birds. I thought that was cool. So the birds and whatever else is out here, they will drain these feeders daily. It really depends on what time I get out. If I get out in the morning, there'll just be a little bit left by nighttime. But if I get out later in the day like now, there'll be some food still there in the morning. But the birds, you know, they start going like at 4 or 5 in the morning. So by the time I'm out here, they'll have eaten everything. And then I do have, there's actually a chipmunk almost under my feet grabbing food. I do have these logs down here and some logs sticking out of the ground just to kind of thwart the hawks. So I put some seed on there too. So I just thought I'd put that quick video up there just to show you my new feeding station, the sign. I thought it was cool, and that's my kind of dry sense of humor. And also I just thought it was really cool that the chickadee, ate right out of my hand yesterday. So I'm gonna just leave you guys with a few shots of the birds eating. We'll see who shows up. And thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you soon.